And welcome back to Real Chill Conversations. We have your girl Edwina in the building today. And for the second time, we have a guest on the show, Misha. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Edwina? Edwina, are you still there? Are you on mute? Anyways, today I think she's still there. I think her mute button is on. So, Edwina, unmute if you want to say something. Or I may have to take her out and let her come back in. Okay. Okay, so yesterday I did come on live with Brenna and I was speaking about co-parenting. Um, so I gave a little highlights yesterday of what I was going to be talking about today. So today we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of co-parenting. Here goes Edwina. Here she goes.
Sorry about that. I don't know why it was going in and out, but yeah, welcome Misha again for the second time to the show. Welcome Dominique.
Thank
Yes, for the second time. So thank you so much for joining us today. And one of the mistakes, well, actually, I want to ask this question first. When you think of co parenting, what is the first thing that comes to you all's mind?
um, sharing parental duties with one another in separate households.
Yeah,
Edwina?
I can I was gonna say the same thing. Co-parenting is, two parents that are trying to come together to make the right decisions um, for their kids and try to be on the same page as well. That's my view of co-parenting.
Definitely, I agree with both of you all. I also think about a healthy relationship as well. So I do think about that. But nowadays, it seems like a lot of people are falling out with each other. So, yeah, there's some toxic behaviors when it comes to trying to co parent with the other parent, especially if you had a very bad breakup. Like, sometimes you make the mistake of well, we, let me go back. Sometimes many of us have difficult exes, right? That sometimes it's kind of hard to deal with, especially we are thinking that it's going to be like a great co parenting experience, and it turns out not to be. So, I wanted to ask another question now that we're talking about that. How do you all think that difficult exes when it comes to co-parenting should be dealt? How would you deal with it?
Um, that's a good question, Dominique, because when it comes to a difficult ex, um, I would say deal with them graciously. And the reason why I say that is because you don't want to come at them full force and they're already being difficult because you already know any decisions you have for the kids, they're going to go against it. Um, it could be medical things or school, anything, they're going to go against it. So I would say come with the difficult parent with a soft approach and see if that will help because you don't want it to turn into an argument down the line and the kids have to see that. Um, I know from my experience, what I go through now is my ex. He's not difficult. We just don't see eye to eye. But also, he doesn't have a relationship with his kids either. I can sit there and say that I can reach out to him and say, hey, you have two beautiful kids. Would you like to see them? And it's more of, oh, well, you did this to me, so I'm not ready to face my kids, which is fine if that's the excuse you want to have. But I feel like in any relationship, you shouldn't bring up the issue that the parents have um, for the relationship with the kids. You see what I mean? It's about the kids. It's not about what have happened in you guys' relationship.
Misha?
I agree with her. um, you know, it's supposed to be about your kids. When if you and if you and your partner didn't work out for whatever the reason, maybe it doesn't really even matter what the reason is. The kids don't have nothing to do with that. So you have to be able to put that aside and put your kids first, which they should already be first anyways. So if you're putting them first, then you should be doing right by them. That's taking care of them, whatever capacity that is that y'all work out between the two of you, because every situation ain't the same. So everybody ain't gonna have the same rules.
And I think it's a maturity level too. I'm not trying to cut you off, Misha, but I think it's a maturity level too. Like when you have made that peace with yourself, um, and you know that you have grown and you have matured and that you're not really dwelling on what has been done to you or what you have done to the other person, you can really co-parent with them. You know, it's that parent that want to hang on to the anger and the hurt and point the finger instead of fixing the issue to make it a better co-parenting for you, the children, and themselves. You see what I mean? So it's a maturity
Right.
issue. I feel like when it comes to that, you have to be very mature when it comes to co-parenting.
Well, yeah. I mean, you got to be mature to be a parent. I mean, I mean, I have
That's true.
some younger kids now, but I had older kids, and when they were young, and I was brought in a situation to be not with the parent, but to be like a co-parent. I wasn't like the I didn't know how to do it. I wasn't the right, I wasn't how I am now, as a father and everything like that. So, like you said, it's about maturity, about knowing where you at in life and everything like that. That's why, you shouldn't be having kids if you ain't ready to have kids, because that's what it's about when you have them. Some people don't know that.
Also, I want to say that some of us deal, well, some people deal with difficult exes. You just came out of a difficult situation, difficult relationship. And now most of the mistakes that people do is, okay, they have not accepted the person for who they are. So you knew that there were a certain way in the relationship. Sometimes some people just try to change people, and we have came to the conclusion we can't change anyone. You have to change yourself. So we come out of the relationship trying to co-parent, and we're still expecting the same thing instead of accepting people for who they are.
Right?
So it just
You can't put your expectations on somebody else. They are
Yeah,
who they
exactly.
are.
yeah, that's true. If you can't change them in a relationship, what makes you think that they're gonna try to be a great co-parent with you? You
Right.
know,
I mean,
sometimes it's difficult actually being a co-parent than being in the relationship.
Exactly.
I
but
hate
in the
to say it because
relationship, they're gonna show you I mean, they're not gonna be too much more different of parent they was than they were in a relationship though. Like if they were attentive to the kids and did things with the kids and stuff like that, when you guys the relationship don't work, they're gonna still be the same way. If they weren't that way with the kids when they were in a relationship, then you can't expect them to all of a sudden be that way when they're not in a relationship and everything like that. So you have to pay attention to that stuff too.
I love you too. Okay, so what happens when one person is not holding up their part of the schedule?
You get frustrated.
yeah, well, what do you mean by
But you got
schedule? Like, is it schedule with the court or with you guys, or what do you mean by that, Dominique? Because it
The
could be
the
different schedule.
the schedule of getting the kids and you know
It can be frustrating, especially if you have plans for that weekend and you're expecting your kids to go to their fathers or to their mothers. You know, that could put a damper in your arrangements. So, you know, you just have to make sure whoever you're co-parenting with that, you know, you communicate and just say, hey, if you can't get the kids this weekend, please just reach out to me. Not an hour before it's time to get them, at least 24 hours. You know what I mean? So, you know, just try to communicate the best way. Communication is the key to any relationship. And I've always said that, you know what I mean?
That is the truth. So when communication doesn't work, I was in a co-parenting class and I was letting people know yesterday. And what I learned also was if co-parenting doesn't work, you can try parallel parenting. So what that basically means is you don't keep like just keep the most minimum less communication with the other person and then try to do it that way, like eliminate most communication. Because I think that's where the problem lies at times too. Too much communication.
Yeah.
It depends what kind of relationship you have, because you know, communication is more important. So like, it just depends on the person.
But if
You
it's
know,
not working, then
Well,
right? If
I
it ain't,
agree.
that's what I'm saying. It depends on the person.
I
you
agree
have
with
to.
Misha in one way. You have to communicate. It's a must. But if a person is showing you that they're not trying to hear you out in the situation, then you need to take a different approach for the best interest of the children
Right.
of how to communicate with that person. You see what I mean? Um, if they say, "Hey, I don't want to talk about it today. This is overwhelming," respect that boundaries of the other person because they may be going through something. So that's one thing about co-parenting. You have to
And then
respect
some
each other
people,
boundaries
okay,
first.
also, Edwina, some people want to talk, but they don't even want to talk about the kids. Like,
And that's my next point. Stay on the kids. If they try to get off topic, just say, hey, I don't want to talk about X, Y, and Z. Can we please stay focused on the kids? Does the kids need to go to sports today? Do they have a doctor's appointment today? Should I pick them up from school or should you pick them up from school? Is it this your weekend or is it my weekend? And just make it about the kids. Always about
yeah.
the kids.
It does. It doesn't have to be verbal. I mean, you can text. Why does it have to be verbal? You know,
You you
in
and,
this
and,
these
and
day
there
and
are other
age,
ways to do it.
the kids got their own phone. I mean, I'm
But
pretty
you
sure
know
mostly
what?
all kids have their phone these days. I
That's
mean, the
true.
communication is minimum. It doesn't have to be as much as it needs to be. It needs to be a little bit, but most of the communication is if there's the kids have their phone, then that means they always have access. So therefore, they don't need to be calling and asking like what my kids are doing. You can call your kid freely at any time and everything like that. The only time really need to be communication is like if the schedule is going to change or if something important is going to happen, things like that. You know, other than that, there shouldn't be no communication unless you guys are on some kind of different, level and stuff. Because there's different levels of co-parenting and friendships and things like that.
And I know we're talking about co-parenting, but I was going to say also, when it comes to the court system, it also depends on if you have sole custody, if you're joint custody, or if you have, what else is it? Um, Lord have mercy,
Primary,
I'm having it. Yeah, primary custody. Yeah, thank you. So it's different things. So some in the courts, you don't have to discuss everything with them. It's nice to do it, but you don't have to discuss everything with the other parent. It depends on what's lined up in the courts, what the courts have for you guys.
right? But I
Guys,
mean,
please try to refrain from the cursing. We don't want to get strike
Who's
well,
cussing?
in the comments.
What is it to be upset about? Is it good cuss words? We're just talking about co-parenting. What could be so bad about co-parenting?
mm,
Okay. Another point I wanted to bring up is you cannot control. Another thing that I learned in my co-parenting class was that you cannot control what is going on in each parent's house. Like, so if the kid is at mama house and the kid is going to sleep at a certain time, then daddy shouldn't worry about that. And when the kid is at daddy's house, then it's the same way.
see, that's where communication is really because now you messing with the kids and everything like that. If it's some kind of dramatic change in like sleep habits, things and depending on what kind of joint custody or what kind. If we're talking about weekend thing, then it's whatever. But if you're talking about somebody that has like joint 50-50, that's why communication is key because that right there, you can't be at dad's house going to sleep at whatever time and then be at mom's house going to sleep at whatever
But
time.
you don't get that same privilege either because both parents are not in the same household. So
No,
even if
Right.
one parent
that
wanted to
I wasn't
do
saying it like that.
a certain thing at, oh, okay,
yeah,
sorry.
no, that
Come
no,
again?
he wasn't. Yeah, no, that's what I was
I
about to
wasn't
say.
saying
Yeah,
like
he
that.
wasn't saying like he was just saying that's when communication comes in, where both parents should communicate on the best bedtime for the child if it's joint. So, if
But see,
going,
that's what I learned. Even if it's joint custody, you still like this was in
no,
the class.
no, in the class. No, I'm saying in the class, you're not supposed to care what happens in anybody else's household. But
Yes.
I think Misha was just saying if you're mature enough to communicate on the same
Yes.
page, you guys can come up with a good sleep arrangement for your child to be in bed. Let's say 8:30. Okay, you know what? Um, John, I know that Susan
That's
is going
that
to the
good
house for this weekend.
co-parenting,
You see what I
Misha.
mean? I know Susan is going to your house this weekend. Hey, let's go ahead. Can we please commit to doing 8:30 for your household and 8:30 for my household for the sake of the child? That's the
It's
good
not.
co-parenting what he's talking
Yes.
about.
But it's not really about the time. It's just about like a respect thing of like the kids gotta get up and go to school and things like that and everything. So it's just more about being a parent. You shouldn't even have to be
Mm,
discussing. It's
there's some
just
people
about
that
being a
will keep
parent.
their kids up to 11:30 at night. So we're not going to get on that. But there's some parents that'll be spiteful and keep their kids up late at night on a school night just to do it because they're at the other parent's house.
Oh, that don't make no sense.
But it goes back to parenting as well.
Yes, it's saying you
Well,
shouldn't
we
be playing
don't,
games with your kids.
everybody has their own ways of parenting. So I'm not going to say that there's not a perfect parent book. Everybody has their own taste, in what they do. So, yeah. So it's like staying out of each other's business as long as the child is not in danger or any harm. Go ahead.
Right.
You want to say something?
I'm good.
Oh, okay. So, what do you think about that, Edwina?
About what?
Just
Repeat
the
what you
whole
said.
concept about staying out of each other's business. You
I
think
think that's,
so?
to me, I think that's good.
Okay.
What's wrong?
Yes, you should be out of everybody's business.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think you should stay out of each other's business. When the child goes to the mom house, let the mom do her thing. When the child goes to the dad house, let the child do their thing. And if the dad has a new partner involved, let them do their thing. And if the mom has a new partner involved, let her do her thing. You know what I mean? Because that's the whole point of co-parenting and them being separated.
So, let's talk a little bit about setting boundaries when it comes to co parenting. How would that look like for you, Misha?
Um, Setting boundaries, just making sure that boundaries is doing your part. I'm doing my part, you do your part. Um, that's that's pretty much it. Because
So, do you have
there's
any
there's
advice
no.
of how you would handle like any type of conflict, or have you ran into like a small issue or something like that and how you handled it?
It just depends on it depends on the situation and stuff like that. Everything like we all humans, we go through things and stuff like that and everything. So sometimes you know um, things happen and stuff like that. So you feel in a certain way and things like that. So as long as you're able to express that to the other parent and things like that, then they're able to step in like they're supposed to. Like if even if y'all it's like y'all was together, y'all not together, y'all not acting like y'all together or anything like that, but they're still expressing like how they're feeling at that time and stuff like that. So it's not a good time um per se for them to be like might be around the kids and things like that. So you would step in and take extra time like that and with no big deals and things. both ways. You know, sometimes it could go both ways. So if you have an open line communication and both of you guys are on the same page and got the kids' best and interest, then there should never be no issue when it comes to that.
That's nice. And I truly do believe that some people can really co-parent and have an open line of communication. So it's not to say that it's always going to be toxic, because you have some parents that they're not about that. So that their whole interest is for the best interest of the kids. So
I mean,
that's
you guys still
definitely
gonna
dope.
disagree on stuff. Like even though it could be good, you're still gonna disagree on stuff. You're not the same person, so there's gonna be things that you disagree on. You
Well,
know,
of course, yes, you're gonna have some things you're gonna disagree on, but it's still gonna be like, a good. I'm sure that a lot of people out here are co-parenting in a mature way, and that's that's dope.
it's
Edwina,
better for the kids.
yeah.
I think it should be boundaries if the parents cannot communicate, and if the parents are getting too involved in their personal lives. That's when boundaries should be put up. If your ex have not gave you any reason to put the boundaries up, don't. You know what I mean? Keep the line of communication open at all times for the best interest of the children.
Hmm.
We have to go back to it's about the children at the end of the day, because we never know how the children are feeling in the situation about mommy and daddy breaking up in the first place. So we always have to keep that in our back mind. This is about the children, not about us. So like I said, if the communication is not there the right way, of course boundaries are supposed to be put up.
Agree with that.
Do you think people should over explain when something goes on, when it comes to their children? Because it kind of opens up more, especially like if you're in a toxic kind of relationship with the other person, it kind of opens up a can of worms. So do you think that that's why I was saying the communication should be kept limited in those cases?
Uh,
That's just my opinion, but what do you all think?
it depends. If it's medical, I firmly believe both parents should be at hand at it. Um, I have sole custody of my all my children.
Hmm.
Um, but if it's medical, out of respect of their father, I will still text them and say, "Hey, this is what's going on with my kids, just to let you know." And then he'll send a text back saying, "Thank you for just communicating," because he knows I don't have to do that because I have sole custody. But I feel like he should at least know what's going on with his kids' health, their school, things that are important like that. Anything else, I don't think it's important. But if it comes to health, school, of course, I think over communicating it should be good for that. Now, if the other person is not trying to hear it, then leave it alone. But I think you should at least give somebody the benefit of a doubt to hear about their kids when it comes to medical and school.
Um, yeah, I got joint custody of my kids. Me and my kid's mom, we got like open communication. We talk about everything. When it comes to the kids, there's nothing that we don't talk about when it comes to the kids. You know, the kids are first. I think that's what makes it work when we put the kids first. Obviously, at the beginning, it's not going to be as easy because you got to get through. People got to get over the breakup part and all that part. Once you get over that and everything, and it's about the kids, then I mean it works and stuff. You know what I'm saying? As long as it's about the kids, it works when it's about the kids. If it's about anything else, it ain't gonna work.
So, definitely. So, co parenting involves collaboration, lots of communication, and a shared approach to parenting. So, that's a healthy co parenting style. But there are a lot of people out here who are kind of far away from that. But I do hope that, that can be fixed. Is really cool when you can have a good relationship with the other person and, make it easier on both of you and the kids.
The environment's better. Kids will thrive.
Absolutely. Edwina?
Yeah, I
I did when
agree.
I wait. I had to ask this question. How often should co-parents communicate with each other?
As
Let's
often as needed.
say on a weekly basis.
Just depends on what it is. If it needs to be said, I mean, if it needs
Let's
to be
take the
communicated,
emergence. Let's take the emergency part out. Edwina, what you think? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm sorry. Yeah, I thought I was unmuted, but I wasn't. Sorry. Um, I would say it depends of the kids' age range. I would say maybe twice a week. You know what I mean? I think twice a week is good. But if there's a parent that's really involved in their kid's life and he wants to talk to them more, and the kids is underage or don't have a phone, try to compromise and do it 3 or 4 times a week. You see what I mean? If they're being reasonable. If they're not being reasonable and they're being toxic, keep it to the bare minimum, 1, 2 times a week. Send a text, they're fine. That's it.
Somebody
uh,
said, but what if the other parent doesn't come through on nothing?
I mean, then you gotta be there for your kid and take care of your kid,
Yeah,
100.
yeah, that's it. Do it yourself. The only thing you can do is do your part by communicating with the other parent. If they chose not or choose not to be involved, keep doing what you're doing. That's it.
Yeah, yeah.
And last night I was talking about narcissist behaviors and traits in co-parenting. Can you all how can you tell if you're co-parenting with someone that is a narcissist?
When that person dictates everything that goes that's about the kids, and the other partner doesn't have no say in it.
That's true. I was going to say that, or try to manipulate the situation to make you feel like you don't know what you're doing as a parent and belittling your parent styles.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what most narcissist people they do. They always say, "Oh, well, you don't have the kids, and you let the kids do whatever they want to do, and the kids are with me all the time, and you're unfit mom or unfit dad." They belittle you to make you think that you can't be a great parent, but you can.
Absolutely. Well, you both had great feedback on this topic. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. And do anyone have any closing statements or any advice?
My only advice is just try to keep co-parenting the right way, in the healthy way, for the sake of the children. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the children. That's my only advice.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's all about the kids. That's what it's about.
All right, you all. So next Sunday, we will be back on at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we will have Edwina in the building. Can you tell us a little bit about next weekend or no?
Um, I can. So I know a lot of you guys have heard about um, what is his name? The rapper that just got um,
Take it.
is
Take
not
off.
Offset.
Take off.
Take
Take
off.
off.
Thank you, guys. I'm just, you know what, guys? It's been a long day for me, so my mind is everywhere. So please forgive me that I'm forgetting a lot of stuff. Yeah, take off. So I want to touch on the basis of a lot of rappers, young rappers, being killed, and what are what are people trying to do to prevent that? Like, what awareness can we bring about these rappers getting shot left and right? Because there's too many of them that are dying, and they're young. So for no reason. So that's what I wanted to talk about next week. You know, celebrities that are dropping like flies.
Nice. Good topic, because that is very interesting. It has been happening, back to back, back to back. If I feel like it all started more like with Mo 3 and around the time he passed and stuff like that. So yeah, great topic, to really get into next weekend. All right, you all. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us tonight, and you all have a great night.
Have a good night.
Bye
Good
bye.
night.